Picture this, closed doors in Washington. Leaders from the IMF and the World Bank are huddled around a table and, well, the mood is tense. And they aren't sweating the usual core inflation numbers or jobs reports, but they are actually bracing for a massive, looming energy crisis.
Right, because the creeping realization in those rooms is that the biggest threat to the global economy right now isn't the cost of borrowing money, it's actually the cost of oil.
Yeah, and so our mission for today's deep dive is to unpack exactly why a potential global oil shock is suddenly terrifying financial markets and what it means for your wallet. We've pulled together a massive stack of recent sources, so economic briefings, maritime risk analyses, geopolitical reports.
It's a lot of data to sift through, definitely.
Oh, it really is. And looking through all this data, it honestly feels like you finally recovered from a terrible flu, which I guess represents the pandemic and the inflation hangover, only to step outside and realize you're about to get hit by a bus.
That is a very accurate way to put it, honestly. I mean, the global economy is far more fragile right now than the recent market rally suggests. We are literally one geopolitical misstep away from a severe supply constraint. And energy is absolutely the trigger here.
Right. So let's follow that trigger to its source, because it really comes down to one highly specific geographical choke point, which is the Strait of Hormuz.
Exactly, yeah.
Tensions are escalating between the United States and Iran, making this narrow stretch of water basically the most dangerous bottleneck in the world. I mean, nearly 20% of the entire world's oil flows through this tiny waterway.
20%, it's a staggering volume.
It's huge. In fact, fears of a disruption here just caused oil prices to jump like more than 5% in a single day. But here's where I want to push back a bit on these briefings. Hasn't the global market learned to price in Middle Eastern geopolitical tension by now?
You would think so, right?
Yeah, like traders know this region is volatile. So why is the alarm bell ringing so loudly this time around?
Well, usually markets do bake a risk premium into the price. That is standard. But pricing in, abstract political noise is very different from facing an actual physical blockade. What the World Bank and the IMF are worried about isn't just traders getting jittery on a trading floor somewhere.
Right, it's real-world impact.
Exactly. It is a tangible threat to tanker routes and actual physical energy exports.
Which acts like a circuit breaker for global trade.
Yeah.
Because, and this is the crazy part, the physical ships don't even need to be fired upon to halt the supply.
No, they don't.
If maritime insurance markets just pull their coverage because the water is deemed an active conflict zone, those multi-million-dollar tankers legally cannot move.
Right, they're stuck.
The risk just instantly paralyzes the entire fleet.
And that is the crucial mechanism people overlook, all the time. A geopolitical flare-up directly spikes maritime insurance premiums to commercially unviable levels. And unlike the Red Sea, where shipping companies can, absorb the cost of taking a massive detour around the tip of Africa.
You cannot just detour around the Strait of Hormuz.
Right, you just can't. Millions of barrels a day have no alternative pipeline route. So if the insurance gets pulled or the strait is actually mined, the oil is physically trapped.
Wow. Which leads us directly into why economists are warning this could become the third major economic shock we face in just a few short years, right on the heels of the pandemic and the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, and the timeline of this kind of shock is what makes it so incredibly stubborn. Even if, say, the political conflict magically cooled down tomorrow, the supply chain remains fractured for months.
Because it's not a quick fix.
Exactly. We aren't just talking about blown-up oil rigs here. We are talking about massive logistical backlogs, repositioning specialized tanker fleets, clearing those maritime insurance hurdles we mentioned, and unwinding extreme risk premiums. All of that takes time. The supply bottleneck persists long after the headlines fade.
Right. And since energy is basically the baseline input for everything we do, that bottleneck comes straight for your bank account. We all know oil spikes hit gas prices at the pump, but it immediately feeds into global freight rates, the cost of manufacturing, and ultimately, core inflation.
Which is exactly why central banks are watching this so closely. Because if energy drives inflation back up, they are forced to keep interest rates higher for longer.
Ouch.
Yeah, that combination, expensive energy and expensive borrowing, has the power to just drag down global growth forecasts for the rest of the year.
So the next move in oil prices really could dictate how the entire global economy performs. Which I guess brings us back to that bus we're standing in front of.
The energy bus, yeah.
Exactly. And I want to leave you with this thought to mull over. If a single narrow shipping lane dictates 20% of the world's energy stability, are our modern global supply chains actually as resilient as we like to think they are? Or are we permanently trapped just waiting for the next bottleneck